Hi guys, my name is Debbie and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to click the subscribe button. I download videos regularly to help you save time and money. This is the third video in my 4-part series on how to get out of debt. If you missed any of my prior videos, I'll link them in the description box down below and in the cards above. In my first video of this series, I showed you an easy way to keep track of your expenses for an entire month, which becomes your initial budget. And we'll touch on that in a minute. But if you missed that video, it's right here. In my second video of this series, I showed you 5 steps to lowering your monthly expenses so that you have more money later on to put towards debt. And if you missed that video, it's right here. And in my third video, I showed you 10 daily habits to change in order to save you even more money. And that's here. So now that we've gotten those things out of the way, I want to talk to you about trying to pay everything you can with cash. Now, when I say everything you can, I don't mean every single bill. For example, as I discussed in my previous video, I negotiated my bills down to the lowest amount for example, my cell phone bill, the alarm system, and our cable bill. So I'm comfortable with those bills being automatically debited from our checking account. But when we looked at all of our expenses for an entire month that we put into the EveryDollar app, which was step number 1 in creating our initial budget, I looked at how much our total was for cash expenses, like for example, our grocery bill, gas for our car, the kids' allowances, just regular lunch expenses like lunch at work, and things of that nature. So what I did is I took that amount and I divided it by 2 because my husband and I get paid bi-weekly, and I took that amount out in cash. And I still keep track of all of our expenses on the EveryDollar app to make sure that we're on track and that we didn't have a frivolous expense that we could have avoided or avoid next month. So now that we have our 2 weeks worth of expenses in cash, I tried different ways to carry the cash with me. I tried envelopes. I tried a little mini binder that had different slots that I assigned to groceries and gas for our car and things like that. I decided at the end to just carry a small amount of cash with me, and once I go through that cash, taking more cash from my cash envelope, which I keep at home. That was a system that worked best for me, but obviously everyone is different. The point is that there are so many benefits to paying things with cash versus a credit card. And let's talk about it. So here are my 7 reasons why I love spending cash instead of charging things on a credit card. My first reason is because you actually are emotionally tied to cash. That's right, it sounds a little silly, but think about it. When you have cash in your wallet and you reach in to pay for something, you actually feel it more. You feel the amount of cash in your wallet getting less and less, and the actual transfer of cash from you to whoever you're buying things from. But when you have a credit card and you give it a simple swipe, I'm sure we've all had that experience that you leave the store and you wonder, how much did I actually pay for that? It actually hurts to use cash, and that's why they say cash is king. Also, retailers are actually making it even easier to pay for items. Now they have Apple Pay, where you can pay with your phone or your Apple Watch. So does that make it even more likely that you're going to overspend? Absolutely. My second reason why I prefer to pay with cash is, as I mentioned in a previous video, have you ever noticed that at the gas stations, they have 2 prices? They have the cash price and the credit card price, because you actually pay more for your gas in your car by charging it than you do by paying cash. So if you want to save money, use cash. My third reason why I like to use cash versus using a credit card is simple: regret. How many times have you gone out and bought yourself something and swiped the credit card and thought to yourself, I deserve it, I've had a bad day, or any other excuse you can come up with, and you take the item home and you enjoy it. But then the following month you get that credit card bill and you realize, oh my gosh, look how much I spent on this, or now I've got to pay with my next paycheck on this. So in order to avoid this, simply do not use a credit card and pay things with cash. My fourth reason for using cash instead of using a credit card is because cash keeps you accountable. if you go to a store and you buy a certain item and you pay for cash, it's done. You take the item home and you're able to enjoy it. But what happens if you use a credit card? And then the following month, you get a bill for that item. Now, let's say you don't have enough money to pay for the entire item. What happens then? Well, whatever's left over that you haven't paid for, now it gets added on with interest. And what if you are late on your payment? Now, not only do you have the item's value plus interest, but on top of that, you have a late fee. So instead of paying with cash and getting one item for the exact amount, now you're paying a lot more for that item. And the longer you stretch out the payments, the more interest is going to get added on. So what keeps you accountable? Using cash. My fifth reason for using cash might seem a little silly, but honestly, it's something that actually bothers me. And that's when you use cash, you're in the present. You're paying for an item and that's it. When you use a credit card, now you're waiting until the following month and that paycheck a month later to pay for that item. You're not living in the present, you're living in the past. And to me, what it felt like was a hole that I'm trying to get out of. And by the time you get out of it, what if you make another purchase? Now you're back in. And once again, you're paying for something in the past, whether it's a meal that you ate a month ago or an item that you bought yourself or someone else. By living in the past, you're never going to be able to get out of debt. My sixth reason for using cash was actually one of my favorites. When I started paying cash for my groceries, I started coming up with creative ways of using the groceries that I had left over from the following week to come up with additional meals in order to stretch my grocery shopping a day or maybe 2 days. Sometimes I can even go 3 days over. And what does that do? Save me money on my groceries in the long run. And my seventh and last reason for using cash was a mistake that I made that I had to learn a hard lesson from. And that's cash rewards. I had these 3 credit cards that I used to charge as much as I could on. And that was because with every purchase, I would get points. If we ate at a restaurant, I would get 3%. If we bought groceries, I would get 2%. Any other purchase would be 1%. And I was really surprised as to how many points I accumulated at the end of the year. And I was so proud of myself because I was like, wow, I have this extra free cash. But once I started really looking at my budget, I realized it's not free cash at all, because although I was on top of paying my credit card bill every month, I thought to myself, free cash? No, I was paying a membership fee for each one of those cards. And although it was only a few dollars a month, 3 cards, 4 cards down the line, it really adds up. Plus, I was still using money from my paychecks to pay for something for the month before. And what did that do? Slow down the amount of money I had at the end of every month in order to be able to pay off our debt. Plus, I was listening to Dave Ramsey, who I don't know if you've watched his podcast, but he's amazing. And he actually conducted a study, and I read it somewhere else as well, that says that most people spend between 12 and 17% more by using a credit card than by paying in cash. And that absolutely made sense when I started looking at my transactions. Because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I'm earning money. I'm earning free cash. But really, it's not the case at all. So don't be fooled by that extra cash rewards that you can get with certain credit cards. If you pay cash in the first place, you're ahead of the game. Well, I hope you liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, please click the like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.